Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to another mentor session. It's a Friday, it's that Friday again. We're going to have a look at the cavalry and how it's going to be working in the future of Total War Warhammer. Because, theoretically at least, this is probably, hopefully, the last time they'll have to change cavalry with the most recent patch that's just come out. So today we're going to be covering cavalry, how it works, where to use it, where not to use it, and basically just everything general about it. So, quick example start of all, we're going to be showing off how some Blood Knights will function against Blackhawks. I should have an assistant in here soon, but for now I'm going to be using my assistant Night Goblin Warboss right here to help me test out these units. Hopefully a pig or a psycho or a Canadian shows up or something so that I can use them as an assistant. But for now, it's just me. Gonna be showing off Blood Knights because they're the best cavalry unit in the game. Grail Knights, no, move aside. It's where Blood Knights is where it's at. They're the top of the pile. Bretonia, who needs them? Blood Dragon, Vampire Lords, no, that's based. That's pretty cool. As for a Night Goblin Warboss, I just chose him because he was the cheapest one, and also because it'd be funny to see him get hit because he's a goblin. I mean, look at those teeth. At least he's happy about it. Ah, we're in. Okay. Now, I believe there hasn't been any changes to the AI, which is good because prior to the update, the AI would brace in the event of a charge. And that used to not be the right thing to do. Counter-charging used to be way better. So now that the AI is actually going to be doing the right thing, hopefully, we can take a look. So in this situation, obviously, cavalry, we have some really good elite cavalry here. Blood Knights have a nice 79 charge bonus with their frenzy activated. Really hard hitting, although they aren't armor piercing. I'll go through it after we see this charge, but the way that the initial charge damage is calculated has been changed. But let's just see how these Blood Knights perform on the charge, shall we? Just a baseline. We're looking at their 8,100 health. Let's see how much they. So there they are bracing. Blood Knights come in for the charge. They do about 600 damage on the charge. This one not taking that much damage, this one taking a bit more. Don't know why that one's worked out the way it is. I think this one might have got a bit more of a charge off, whereas this one was just standing still when it was hit. If we look at here, you can see that most of the damage done was on the charge. Melee stats of Blood Knights are by no means bad, but you can see a lot of damage ramp up really quickly at the very start of the charge. Especially with War being popped now, these Blood Knights will lose in melee. They are shock cavalry, and so how you should be using them is to move them in and out, ideally. But again, Blood Knights are so good that you don't really care too much. They have a baseline stats of 40 and 40, which is really good for shock cavalry. Although it should be noted that you're not making full advantage of that 79 charge bonus if you're not moving in and out. So we'll take a look how this plays out with these two fighting each other. So this is if you keep them straight in melee, this is how you're keeping them just constant. You're keeping them in melee, you're letting them go, the war's being popped and everything. Let's see how they perform. So at the start, they were definitely winning, but as the battle wears on, it's a lot worse, and a lot worse off for the Blood Knight. Exactly. I can relate to the Goblin on an emotional level because I look so much like him. I mean, look at him. Look at that little scamp. It's hard to tell what he looks like because of all the blood. And I'm also using the T-Bug camera, so it's even harder to get a good angle. But I'll just, yeah, he's dead now. I'm pretty sure. I think I just killed him. He's on. Yeah, no, he's dead. Yeah, he's dead. Okay. Well, I have to pay respects to him. I'll just let this special may as well just concede. So yeah, then we can see the sort of effect that just a base charge and stay in combat with shock cavalry works with. Not really getting the value they should do. Blackhawks getting the value they definitely should do. Like, that's really good value for Blackhawks. So still, if we just look at it like this, you still think that cavalry isn't doing that good. Cavalry isn't doing what it should be doing. They're losing to infantry. But let's see what they can do if we throw in some cycle charging. Get cycle charging, make sure you stay out of combat when the enemy is buffed, i.e. when they have war. And you should be able to maximise your value, but let's see how it goes. I sure hope they don't change cavalry again, because then I'll have to make another video about how it works. Oh wait, this is gonna, there you go, much better. So, let's see how this one goes. This time we'll throw some more cycle charging into the mix. And we'll see just how much better that does. Should also be noted that I think you drain through your vigour a lot quicker if you stay in combat as opposed to cycle charging. But we'll just... no, I don't think vigour affects charge bonus that much though, although I could be wrong about that. I think it's only base melee stats. So there they are on the charge again. A good amount of damage, but instantly when I pull those both out. So they've only lost one, like a couple models, a handful of models, no more than 5 I'd say at the moment. Try and keep the general out of it so that nothing too bad happens. Okay, they've had that, and then we'll charge in again. It should also be noted as well, as those Blackhawks try to chase after the Blood Knights, they are thrown out of position and are not as braced as they should be. Okay, well, yeah, and also a good thing that can happen when they try to chase after is they'll get into situations like this, where the Blackhawks will get caught on something, they'll turn around for some reason or another, like as they try to reform. And that means I mean, this is AI, so they're programmed to brace just as soon as they can, but it's not as likely to happen when it comes to facing a player. It's a lot harder to tell your unit to brace than it is to tell it to just countercharge. So you can expect countercharging to be more common overall. Another important thing that you can be doing with cavalry is just sandwiching things. Sandwich, I've been playing too much TF2. So in this situation, you isolate a unit, and then you surround it by the 2 shot cavalry units. That way it can't brace from both directions, and the morale hits at once. With this, what should be able to break this unit. In situations like this, you can usually stay in melee for a little bit, because this unit's probably going to rout soon. So by taking advantage of the mobility of the Blood Knights, not just throwing them in and leaving them unattended, you get a lot more value out of them. Because at the end of the day, that is what the cavalry is meant to be used for. It's their mobility that works. They're not meant to be a good holding unit, they're meant to be mobile. Going around the place, moving through units as much as possible, trying to get those ideal situations where you can hit the enemy in the back, hit them in the flank. That's what. You see, they're saying mean things about me in Twitch chat, but I don't have to put it on the video if I don't mention it. You can't see the Twitch chat and the YouTube video. Yeah, exactly. If I get, I think I need 1,000 or 5,000 subs, and I'll get early access to Warhammer 3. So come on, guys, let's get the 5k subs so that I can show off all those Warhammer 3 changes when I have to remake all the videos because they've changed everything. Hey, at least it'll be something to do. Another charge going into Blackhawks. Another important thing to do is always to stretch out your cavalry as much as possible, especially so with the new update, with how cavalry charging, it only hits really, only the front unit does any damage. You definitely want to make sure you get that charge off on the longest possible area, surface area, so to speak. Looks like I'm going to lose here. I don't know about that one. I mean, I have let my lord get clowned. I haven't used any magic because that would be against the ideals of it. Because I didn't use any magic in the first test. But you can already see that this is done way better than it was before. Like at this point in time, these Blackhawk units were like at half health still. And as it stands now, using the mobility, using the flanking, using as much as possible, works a lot better off. And I'm just going to finish off that lord because he's annoying me. Yep, there the units breaking, and that's the army losses. So their Blood Knights performing way better against a unit they normally wouldn't beat in any other circumstance. That mobility is what gives them the victory. If the Blood Knights only had like the speed of the same speed as Blackhawks, they would lose. Because melee-wise, cavalry usually loses. Unless we're talking about special melee cav, which are like few and far between, like Grail Guardians is the only real one that comes to mind. Generally speaking, you want to be cycle charging with all of your cavalry. You want to be going in and out as much as possible. Let's go to 5k, yeah, let's go. Let's go, come on. So here we are, look at that, 1,000 value. That's like an extra 300 to 400 extra damage value. Just because I'm actually moving around my units. As opposed to just keeping them in melee prolonged. And against greenskins, that's a really bad idea. Because greenskins love to fight. Let's take a look at another example. So obviously, real mix mash of matchups here. We've got a non-armor piercing anti-large cavalry versus infantry that's armored and armor piercing. So Blood Knights were pretty countered pretty heavily in this fight. So they're not going to perform the best against Blackhawks. But if we take a unit, say, what cavalry should we do next? What cavalry should we do next? Something that fits a lot better. Is there any cavalry with anti-infantry? I don't think there's any cavalry that have anti-infantry bonus. I can't think of any, at least. Let us know down below if you can think of one, because I can't. There's things that say anti-infantry, like on the tin, but there's like this says anti-infantry, but it doesn't actually have any anti-infantry bonus, which is interesting. Guess they're just naturally anti-infantry. But let's go for a cavalry with the higher of. I know. I'll go with Silver Helms. Silver Helms with shields, because why not? Go ahead and take, I don't know, a prince on a horse with nothing. And then we'll go ahead and face that against a unit that makes a lot more sense. Gore Herd. Unarmoured, like very lightly armoured, very low melee defense. Probably not going to do well. And we'll just see how well cavalry does these days. And also, when it comes to, I mean, we'll see. I'll talk about it as it loads in. But I gave him the abilities. Damn. Oh well. Ignore that. So with Gores, I feel like even with the update, because they have a very spread out formation, I'm not exactly sure how it works with spread out formations. I need to do some testing as soon as I get an assistant in here like us, instead of chatting shit in the Twitch chat. Have you come help? I need an assistant. But we'll see how this functions. But in my mind, I'd see Goreherd do better on a counter charge than on bracing, because, well, if you see here, Goreherd aren't exactly a very tightly packed formation unit. I don't think standing still is going to help them too much against a horse. But yeah, as I was saying before, it doesn't mean that much here, but with how the new update is going, basically the initial charge damage, 70% of the initial charge damage for cavalry will be armor piercing, which, I mean, it makes sense. It's a giant horse. If it's going to hit something, it's probably going to pierce its armor, just because it's going to beat the hell out of it. So that will make non-armor piercing cavalries like Blood Knights that we just saw a lot more effective against armoured infantry. But here we go in this charge. These Goreherd do have a bit extra melee damage, so the Silver Helms might take more damage than they should do. But even then, just on the charge, you can just see how much more damage they took compared to like Blackhawks. I mean, you have to bear in mind these have a lot less health as well, but they're already at half health already. And then if we move them out to sort of avoid this buff, let's go here. So you can see Silver Helm's taking very little damage here. If this was a battle situation, I'd be very happy with this situation. Just because this trade-off. Not to mention another charge here will probably send these Goreherd into a rout. And that one's already wavering. With that charge, this one didn't have a very good charge, but this unit's been completely destroyed. And like that, this unit over here is won without losing more than 5 models. This one's probably going to be pretty similar at this rate. Yeah, 6 models it's going to lose, I think. Yeah, 6 models and it's won. So you can really just see how well cavalry can do with just that charge bonus is all they need. That initial charge bonus completely destroyed a Goreherd unit. I don't know whether or not counter-charging, we'll have to test it in a minute, on how well a counter-charging Goreherd would do, whether or not that would do more damage than they did when they were braced. I'll have to save that experiment, because I need to wait for people. Refreshing water. Alright then, and so we'll go ahead now, because if you see Silver Helms, 64 charge bonus, but if we have a look at Grail Guardians, which are the designated melee cav of pretty much everything, 38 charge bonus. A lot better melee stats. You'll notice 56 melee defense on a cavalry is really big, so they will perform a lot better in melee as opposed to on the charge, which probably means they'll remain pretty unchanged in this update. with the general consensus of things, you see two general themes emerge. So this is a good time to show the difference between shock and melee cavalry. So what should we do here? What's a good beefy unit? No, not dwarves. Grave Guard with no caster. That's right, no caster for the vampire counts. An army after my own heart. And I'll take 2 of these, and then I'll take these 2. Now I'll just show off the differences between melee cav and shock cav. It's pretty self-explanatory what you do with both. Generally speaking, you will cycle charge as much as possible with all cavalry. I think Grail Guardians, well, the occasional cold one, not the cold one knights. I think the general theme is if a cavalry has a charge bonus less than 40, then you don't cycle charge it as much. Especially when you have to compare the stats to it in melee. You have to look at the unit card and think, okay, so this unit has 56 melee defense. It's probably made to be in prolonged combat. Not to mention that the Grail Guardians have physical resistance and perfect vigor, so they can go on forever. Let's see here. Oh yeah, I put this guy in foot. Whoops. So we'll see here. We'll throw both of these just straight into melee, and you can just see the difference in how they perform. So this one, well, I'll put that there. Okay, yeah. So this one on the right is the shock cavalry. There goes the charge. The Grave Guard, they took a lot less damage than they normally would. That bracing did help them. You can see on the charge, Grail Guardians did a lot more on the charge. Those first initial hits, those first like 3 to 4 hits, really big. But as the battle wears on, this damage output will probably slow down, and this one will just stay consistent throughout the entire fight. Not to mention the damage taken. Like obviously these are Grave Guard, they're anti-infantry, they're not going to put that much damage back. But if we see the health bar differences here, these Grail Guardians are holding on health-wise a lot better than the Grail Knights. Ignore the Master Necromancer, he doesn't exist. That would skew the results a little. So let's go on for a bit. Oh, oops, let's click. But yeah, you can just see as the battle wears through, like we could probably still chip a bit of extra health on there because the Master Necromancer's been thrown in. But even then, even if you say like they shouldn't be taking half this damage, they're still taking way more damage than the Grail Guardians are. It's getting to the point where they might not even win the fight. But whereas Grail Guardians are single-handedly just demolishing that Grave Guard unit there on their own. You can just see the difference in damage caused right there. Grail Guardians seem to have a much better like sort of damage output even later on, but just survivability goes a lot more towards the Guardians than the Knights. And it reflects on the main advantages that Grail Guardians have is their increased health, armor, leadership, and melee defense. They have reduced stats in all other departments, apart from those 4, which all lends to them being much more of a holding unit. Increased armor, increased health, increased melee defense. And just going through what other cavalry sort of fit that theme, I think. The Ebon Knight, Knights of the Ebon Claw also fit that theme pretty well with 52 melee defense, 50 melee attack. They're very much a melee infantry. Cold War Knights are more of a shock infantry because you can see they don't have the best melee stats. But they do have a decent enough charge bonus compared to the melee stats. So they work as much more as a shock cavalry than they would as a melee cavalry. Doomfire Warlocks are in a bit of a weird middle spot where they can be either or. Generally speaking, they tend to go after lightly armoured targets, so you can't usually cycle charge as much because they'll just get chased. But I'd say recommend cycle charging with these. They do have the physical resistance, which helps out a lot in prolonged combat. But even then, I think the 40 charge bonus is pretty decent. What other cavalry are there to look at? Greenskins have quite a variety of cavalry. Some don't even fit into the theme, like Goblin Wolf Riders, Forest Spider Riders. They're just really bad cavalry. They're generally speaking, they're melee cavalry, especially with how greenskin mechanics work. You don't really want to be cycle charging much of the greenskin cavalry because then you're not generating as much war. But I think big guns, or just all the boar boys actually are pretty cycle charge focused because of their high charge bonus. But as for the cheaper ones, they're more melee cavalry. You can just tell by their low charge bonus. None of them has a charge bonus over 30. What other standouts are there? Empire Cavalry are all very similar. They're all shock cavalry basically. None of them have a charge bonus lower than 48. All of it was basically made for cycle charging, especially the Knights of the Blazing Sun with that 78 charge bonus. But nothing here has very high melee defense at all. Nothing has melee defense higher than 40, so this is pretty much all for cycle charging. Vampire counts have a pretty mixed match of them. Black Knights, you can see, much more of a melee cavalry than a shock cavalry. Only 26 charge bonus, but then you go for the Knights and Barding, 62. You could see that they're obviously the shock cavalry variant. Very self-explanatory with the Black Knights. Hexwraiths are again in a bit of a weird middle spot. Most of the time you keep them in prolonged combat, although with the new charge bonus features, I think they work pretty well with cycle charging as well. They're also pretty hard to keep a hold of with their Vanguard and their fast speed and their Strider. So I would recommend just try run through as many units. The idea is you just hit a unit, you break the unit because you terror out it, and then you run on to the next one. And you keep that momentum going. Blood Knights are of course shock cavalry. Other ones. Beastman Cavalry is a bit weird. It's very similar to Greenskin Cavalry. It has a decent enough charge bonus, Centaurs especially. I mean, it's just Centaurs in terms of cavalry. You could also lump Hounds into that, but Hounds aren't really made for cycle charging. I don't think Razorgores would be cycle charged very often, despite what it may seem, mainly because their speed isn't good enough, and their models are a bit clunky, and also the fact they go into Rampage. But if you can cycle charge once or twice with them, especially against like Dwarves, I'd recommend doing that, because they have the charge bonus for it. Centaurs have the charge bonus. They're more of a shock cavalry than they are a melee cav, but again, they typically engage fast units, so they can't usually disengage as quickly. What else? Lizardmen Cavalry? Actually, no, High Elf Cavalry is all shock cav. I don't think any of this is melee cav. No, this is all, like, look at that, 80 charge bonus. 64, that's all shock cav. Lizardmen, I think, have, similar to Dark Elves, they have their sort of melee-isk variant, and then they have a more... Oh, no, they don't. Oh, yeah, all of it's melee cav, pretty much. I thought they had similar to Cold War Knights, but it is all pretty melee-focused in terms of their shock. Although Ripidactyls, surprisingly, have a really high charge bonus, so you might want to try and cycle charge those in as much as you can. Norsca don't have cav, Skaven don't have cav. Tomb King Cavalry, pretty melee focused, like exclusively. You don't often think of Tomb King Cavalry, but Nehekara Horsemen are surprisingly really good. 5,000 health is pretty good, 50 armor is pretty good. The fact that they don't run away is pretty good. Their melee stats are very decent for their just everything for their cost. For 650 gold, these Nehekara Horsemen really punch above their weight up quite a bit. And with the new improved to how their AP works on the charge, I can see these just being better than they were before. So look out for these. Be wary of the Tomb King Nehekara Horsemen. Skeleton Horsemen are basically just Wolf Riders or Spider Riders. Cheap cav. Warriors of Chaos. In a bit of a sad spot before the Chaos Knights. Of course, with how Cavalry was performing, they didn't do very well. In fact, I'll test that now. I noticed that heavy Chaos Knight Lancers before patch weren't able to do very well against Blackhawks at all, just especially on the counter charge. Of course, the AI won't be counter charging here, but we'll take a look at how it performs nonetheless, because everyone misses how Chaos Knight. They look cool, they should be cool, but they used to not be. But let's see how they do now. And of course, maybe we'll see even some unique Chaos Knights with the Warhammer 3 coming. I don't think so, actually. No, we've seen the entire Khorne roster, haven't we? Did they have Chaos Knights? I gotta look this up. I'm gonna put it on slow motion. Let's see, did they get Chaos Knights? Full core roster. This one should help. Let's see. Oh no, they got Juggernauts, didn't they? Don't think they get Chaos Knights. Yeah, they get like Juggernauts and Blood Crushers, so they probably won't be getting Chaos Knights. These Chaos Knights will probably stay unique to Undivided then, actually, come to think of it. So you won't be seeing any red, pink, green, blue versions of these boys. Just the ones you see now. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and do this one. So these Blackhawks, of course, will brace. They won't countercharge. I have to wait for someone to get in here to show that off. But considering these Chaos Knights aren't AP, that's pretty good damage. That is 1,000 health. The health bar itself, it doesn't look like they've done much, but Blackhawks have a lot of health. They have the most health of any infantry. So that is pretty decent damage. Let's see if they try and pull out. So obviously, as it wears down, the Chaos Knights don't do quite as well as they did before. I think this will be the key one to look at because it's not getting interrupted. So as it stands so far, doing pretty well. Doing better than the Blood Knights, I think. Yeah, that's some pretty nice charges. There's some pretty good charges right there. At this rate, they should... Yeah, definitely want to stay away from that War. I'm going to move away while they have the War popped. Because it's a War. These ones are getting a bit caught up. This still happens. Cav models will get stuck amongst the infantry, and then you'll have stuff like this happen where they'll just start losing models. Those 5 Chaos Knights there just died because of that. Let's see here. So here I am preventing them from bracing by throwing a unit into the mix, and then they take like full damage. So they did from before a lot better than they did before the patch, but we have to see how countercharging does. Because that was the main problem prior to patch, was that fact that countercharging infantry would do better than bracing. Although it does look like bracing is doing a lot better than it used to. I'd say bracing your infantry, again, we'll see how it goes, but I'd say bracing your infantry might be a better idea than countercharging. Let's see, what else is there? Let's see how an AP cavalry, because we haven't done much on AP cavalry yet. Preferably not one with Rampage, actually. Let's do Questing Knights. Let's not do Questing Knights. Let's do Senegor's War Weapons. I don't know who said. So, I mean, cost-wise, it looks like the Blackhawks should win this, but we'll see how much damage the Senegors can put out. Yeah. Damn it, you heard that. I gotta watch that clip later. But listening to my own voice, you hear it. Oh, finally Lycus is coming. Jesus, he's here. Hello, Lycus.
The Cav Beta patch or the normal patch?
The beta with the Cav, the fix. The Cav fix. Have you opted into the beta? What?
Which patch?
The beta. You have to opt into the beta.
Yeah.
You did that?
Nope.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll check back in you with half an hour.
That long?
It does that thing where it pauses. It took probably more like 15 minutes. Right, let's see how this Centaur great weapon charge does against Blackhawks. Why that Blackhawk unit's going that direction, I don't know. Pretty decent damage on the charge there. Let's see if we can get some good cycle charging going to a point where Centaurs can beat Blackhawks. I'm going to try my hardest just to kill the Blackhawks now. Pretty good trade. Pretty good trade, especially considering the values. See, that was more of a counter charge there by the Blackhawks, I think, than they were bracing. And it didn't turn out well for them. They took a lot more damage on that charge than they did if they were bracing. Senegors, of course, are very fast, so they do pull out a lot quicker than, say, heavy cav would. Although they No, they're not really heavy cav, they're not armoured. They just happen to have pretty good melee stats and damage. Oh yeah, there was some damage taken there by the Sentinels though. These ones took quite a bit more damage from that counter charge than compared to when they were bracing over here. Of course, by cycle charging greenskins as well, you're preventing them from charging up their war. Is what you want to do. You also don't want to be charging in like that. Yep, going pretty well for the Senegors here. Especially considering the cost is difference. Like the Blackhawks cost 200 more than Senegors with great weapons. And these Senegors with great weapons are just over here especially, they're just completely destroying them. Yeah, that's pretty good. We'll ignore the fact that the Night Goblin boss is dead. Yeah, really good. Really good there from those Sentinels even. With great weapons. So armor piercing cavalry. Definitely dealing with them a lot better than non-armor piercing. Even with the changes to how the charge bonus damage is applied. Because you just see the values there. Like, they pay for themselves just there. Just with that, just dealing with those Blackhawks, they pay for themselves. Do have the patch notes here. Let's see. Where's the bit where they say 70% armor piercing? Yeah, so there's extra collision damage that's applied. Yeah.
So I guess infantry is useless now.
Infantry durable now? And now cavalry's OP? Question mark? I don't think infantry's too... I mean, we'll have to see, I have to do some more thorough testing. With,
I mean, honestly, from the results that you just had, like, I don't think Sentinels Great Weapons should be Blackhawks.
Yeah, that's an AP cavalry. Definitely applying way more damage over than they should be. Like, their melee stats are definitely not that good. 22-20. Let's try another AP cavalry. With a bit more cycle charging, like trying my complete hardest to minimize damage. What's another AP cav? Man, there really isn't that many, is there? I guess it's Questing Knights.
I mean, it did took you a lot of my cav.
Yeah, which is the idea with cav, isn't it?
It seems like it was.
See how
Questing Knights was not the best.
Yeah, but obviously before patch, well, they didn't counter charge. I think on the side they did counter charge. They put out a lot more damage. But again, I'll have to test that when you get the version installed. The difference between bracing and non-bracing.
Yeah, it's. Okay, I'll be back in a second.
Cool. Alright, let's take a look at this then. So Questing Knights, a lot more expensive than Sentinels with great weapons. Ideally, they should be dealing with Blackhawks a lot better. But we'll see just how well they do. Again, the Blackhawks like to make just random turns at certain angles. Let's see if they brace. Okay, so yeah, these ones not quite bracing. Those ones were fully braced. Oh, they may be able to brace in time, I'm not sure. There is that problem that when you go really wide with your cavalry, although all of your you get more models to hit at once, you do wrap around the enemy a bit and then you get like knights stuck behind and you can't pull out as well. So maybe it's not huge, that you want to try and scale it so that it hits the same sort of width as the enemy unit, like this. That's like probably perfect width. Yeah, they're not doing quite as well as the Sentinels with great weapons. I wonder why that could be. There could be something to do with how it's calculated. Or there could be something to do with the speed, perhaps? Sentinels, of course, have a much bigger speed, by like 20 or so. The fact that they can pull out means they take a lot less damage. Like, on the charge, I'd say they're doing just about as much damage as the Sentinels with great weapons. they're just taking a lot more. Which definitely shouldn't be happening since they have more melee defense. Probably going to be about an even trade at this rate. But you might expect from 2 units costing the same, but the fact that Centaurs did so as well as they did goes against that statement. Okay, so again, the one over there doing better. This one probably going to die at this rate. Especially with War being popped, yeah, you want to stay away when War's popped. Should also be noted that Centaurs do have perfect vigour, but that shouldn't have affected it too much. Like, these guys are only getting winded just now, so... it just ends up having a standoff here, don't you? I wonder how the AI is going to react. Okay, now they're moving. But if I do this, bait them into moving and then do the charge. Yeah, very close. A lot closer than definitely than the Centaurs were. Try with Hex Race next. Of course, Blackhawks are a good example for this practice because prior to patch, this type of infantry, Blackhawks, Bestigors, were the bane of cavalry's existence. A counter charge from them could just wipe them out, making it a really bad trade for them. And they already are still. They do put on a lot of damage, that's for certain. Yeah, not great. Not as good as Centaurs' great weapons, which is interesting. Maybe it's got something to do with the fact of how it's calculated with speed, or maybe it's just because the Centaurs are able to escape a lot easier. We'll test with Hex Race next. Hex Race is another armor piercing cavalry. Or actually, maybe there's a Lizardmen or Dark Elf. I think, which one doesn't go into Rampage? They do. These don't. Knights of the Adam Claw. So these are a really hard-hitting cavalry. There should be no doubt in my mind that these should win. And these are a melee cavalry though, so maybe not using those. Actually, I'll go for a... because I want to do more cycle charging, I'll go for this... Hex Race. Basic Hex Race. Right, let's see this. Alright, Hex Wraith time. Spooky ghosts. Because of course Hex Wraith have a good speed of 94. So if it's got something to do with the speed, we'll definitely see Hex Wraith wipe the fall with the Blackhawks. I did notice when playing in a free-for-all game the other day, my Hex Wraith got like really good value, but I don't know if that's just because I was using them well. Might it be that Hex Wraiths are better than Blood Knights now? We'll see. Alright, here we go. Of course they're going to brace, ideally. Yeah, they're bracing. And then we want to move out as quick as possible, because again, more of a, we want to take full advantage of that charge bonus. Although Hex Wraiths are a bit in the middle when it comes to whether or not they're a shot cav or a melee cav. So these getting out a lot with a lot less wounds than the Grail, than the Questing Knights. Not putting on quite as much damage, but I think that's more due to their charge bonus being a lot smaller. They don't get caught up quite as much, but I think that's just because I'm keeping their unit size to a small amount so they don't wrap around the enemy. I noticed the Questing Knights did a lot more wrapping around compared to their Centaur unit. See, this one doing quite well. This one taking a bit more damage, but I think a lot more of these are getting caught up on them for some reason.
Sorry, it took a while. I'm back.
Welcome back. The Questing Knights lost. They didn't even win. For some reason, Senegal with great weapons. Testing it with Hex Race now.
Okay, interesting. Not going to lie. New meta being discovered right here at
Yeah.
Polus Channel.
Questing Knight's not on it, apparently. But Ted is sad. Ted is crying right now. Yeah, so Hex Race seem to be trading okay. Again, they're not that much of a shot cav, they're more of a melee cav. But I don't think they're going to do that well in melee against Blackhawks. Especially if Was popped, get out of there. Was popped.
Yeah, patches.
Hard to tell right now. We have to do some more testing. I mean, it's in beta now, but God knows how long it'll take for them to implement it into live. Especially with how they've still got bugs in the beta, but no bugs in live. Don't know how they managed that one.
Two different versions at this time. Like, I'm not a developer, but I'm pretty sure that's gonna cause some more bugs.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll find a new bug today in the beta version. So yeah, this is a lot more doing better than the Questing Knights, but not as good as the Sentinels. It might just be the fact that yeah, those Sentinels great weapons did really well. Interesting. Don't know if it was.
So the model counts are similar or the same.
Let's take a look at that after I've run through this bit. I'll take a look at the differences. So Hex Race performing better than Questing Knights, but not as good as Sentinels. We'll just keep them melee for this last bit. I think they'll probably win from this point. With War Popped, it gets a bit close. Nope, we won. Yeah.
It tells me it's taking ages because it's installing 60 gigabytes.
60. Classic. Maybe there's something wrong with your PC. Yes, so let's take a look at the model counts. So Hex Race are at 45. Sentinels are at 45. And Questing Knights are at 45. That's Pegasus Knights. No, that's Questing Knights.
Questing Knights do have way better combat sets than Sentinels with great weapons, so I'm kind of confused by what's the charge bonus at?
Sentinels are 1 extra charge bonus. Here we go, we compare the differences. Sentinels are worse in Aura Guards, although actually no, Sentinels have Primal Fury, don't they? So they gain an extra 10%. So they're more at like 48 or so.
Yeah, so it might be just that the charge bonus gets amplified extremely.
Yeah, they have Perfect Vigor as well, but I don't think that would have made too much. There's the increased speed. Maybe the speed is calculating into how much damage they're doing on the charge.
I mean, the speed is, like, once you enter the charge animation, I don't think speed matters, it's only the charge bonus that goes up. And
charge speed was affected by its speed though as well there.
Yes, but like this is reflected by the charge bonus itself, so I don't think the charge bonus gets amplified by speed again. You could try and get the Questing Knights into lance formation and see if that
we'll try that.
Then we could basically see if maybe one in lance formation and one without lance formation and see if they do differently.
Yeah, see how which one does more. Because that lance formation isn't used too often to my knowledge.
No, because it's like I just heard it really bad pulling through and you're only doing minuscule damage to a very small like center of the unit. But maybe it would change. I think I've heard on somebody's channel, I think probably Turin, that lance formation is now better.
Right, let's give it a go. Let's put them into lance formation. The lance formation giving them an increased charge bonus to 57. And increase their acceleration as well, so they should be able to pull out of targets a bit better.
You want to compare one with Lance?
Oh yeah, one with and one
maybe?
without. I'll do that instead.
What do you mean? No, not quite trample them! Slay them!
Let's see here.
Twisting knights!
But probably the collision is going to be so much more different that...
Huh. That actually looked like it did less.
Custody! Post haste!
It might have something to do with the fact that charging units can't charge if there's a unit in front of them.
Yeah, probably
And that's
the
probably
model
something
count.
wrong with the wedge formation. That means that like none of the people on the sides can actually charge.
Actually, I don't-
Swiftly!
yeah, but now it will probably come into play more because you still get the charge bonus off, but
Yeah.
you are having more models engaged because you can't get into that stupid lance formation.
Post haste!
Yeah, so they're just putting in themselves
Maybe.
into
At speed!
square.
It doesn't seem to be that much. Like,
Twisting knights! Moving a base!
It looks like they're actually going to lose compared to these ones that are actually winning.
yeah. I mean, they're melee calf. The other ones were left at melee for longer, right?
Leave that
And
going.
the combat sets aren't that bad.
Yeah, no, it's 40, 37. It's not bad at all.
I mean, they appear to be winning now, so...
Nah, with the war
Oh.
activated, actually, the prolonged,
no.
prolonged.
no. I mean, I think if you would have cycle shot them, they could have probably...
Yeah, but maybe one or two more cycle charges could have won them. But
So, okay, Senti goes with great not power yet.
yet, let's just see that again. Center goes weird weapons again. Let's just see that. See if it's a one-off. Actually, just to make sure it's completely fair, make sure they're the same width as well. Here we go. And then move them out. So they didn't take much damage there. They seem to take a very small amount of damage, in fact.
Yeah, the damage value
Yeah, look
somehow
at
completely... Like, I feel like the question has got way more damage, or took way more damage.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that one's lost one model. Both of them have only lost one model. At this point, the Question Knights would have lost like 5 or 10.
And maybe it is just because they get so much... They seem just way faster than the...
They do so. I mean, they get up to, with the Bestial Fury, they get 93 speed.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they are way faster, even with the lance.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're one of the fastest camps in the game.
So it has to be connected to the speed. Do they maybe attack faster due to the speed? Shouldn't be, right? Because attack ratio is different to...
it's probably just the final charge that's doing it, the first impact charge. So over this side, this is like completely one-sided. This one's a bit closer. And then probably one or two more charges will break the Blackhawk completely. for a gold, for a unit 200 gold less.
Yeah. I'd still say that's a bit strange.
A
Also,
little bit.
combat sets. Centigoes actually are like 20. That's. But again, any nerf to greenskins,
This is well deserved.
good.
But then Beastmen also the new greenskins. Just
I
replacing
mean,
one
if
with
it's true
another.
that speed is like gonna be buffed this patch, and it seems like it.
Seems
Maybe
like it,
also
maybe.
infantry is affected again. Because I remember that, like, the problem with Forsaken is that with the mass buffs, they got a huge charge bonus.
Yeah,
and
they're also
they
quite
all got a
fast
charge
for
bonus.
infantry.
They got extremely buffed, which is why Forsaken are basically the only unit that's the only fast unit with high charge bonus in the game, because it's not really balanced
Mhm.
around the number of models. So maybe
Interesting.
Greenskin got on that buff there.
Actually, I think hopefully the AI goes with me here. I'll bring the Blackhawks, and I'll see if I can
If you waited a little bit, I can jump in.
just see how the AI does it. The AI be better than you. I doubt it. So we'll let them have the Senegals with great weapons. Right, let's see how this one goes. Because I'm going to actually countercharge instead of bracing. See if it's the countercharging that really does the damage.
If it doesn't work, I'm now starting. Should be.
Night Goblin War Boss! War Boss!
Okay, we'll do this. This is pretty similar to what the AI had in terms of layers. Please don't pile onto one unit or something like that. Yeah, they're not. Okay, cool. Okay, let's see. Are they even going to charge? Okay, they sort of charged. They seem to be taking a lot more damage. Let's see, that was a pretty clean charge engagement. Yeah, they're taking a lot more damage. At least it certainly feels like they are.
Hey, counter charge, still the best.
Counter charging still better than bracing. Great job. You tried to fix it really hard. You didn't quite get there though. I mean, have you loaded in now, Lycus? You can have some
Yeah, I've loaded and I'm just so.
Okay. I'll do some tests, bracing compared with non-bracing.
Sending unit. Can't tell my password otherwise. Hold in learn. Yeah, take a wild guess, which is mine.
Is it Oogly Boogly? Might be that one.
Ink caps.
That's okay. Alright, go to Crossroads as well. So it's flat.
Me to go greenskins and you go.
I'll go, yeah, Beastmen. So we have like 4 units each. 2 of them charging, you counter charge, 2 of them you brace. Just bring a basic lord. And you can see what is the movements you do when facing cavalry. Do you brace or do you counter charge? It might also change depending on like what kind of infantry you have. Like I have a feeling that maybe if you have a damage dealing infantry you want to counter charge. Maybe it just depends on the charge bonus of the infantry. Like if you've got dwarves, you still just brace because it's dwarves. They have like 4 charge bonus.
But if you used rune, you can.
No, an extra 10. No.
Was it 10 or 12? 10%?
10 or 12. Oh no, I think it was a flat number. I think it was like 12 or 14.
No. But it wasn't a percentage based, right?
No, I think I remember it being surprised because it's like the only thing that improves something that wasn't just percentage based. So if you somehow paired that with a
Alex about it. Otherwise, he's major, not about
how
bad Dark Elves.
bad Dark Elves are. Right, I'll go for 2 either side. Actually, let's make sure. Right. I've got them sort of spread out as well. Spaced-ish.
Yeah, roughly like 2.
Yeah, that works. Alright, so the 2 on... Well, just choose a side, and one side will be braced.
On my left, your right, they charge. The other ones, I'm gonna... sitting still.
Okay. Let's see the differences. I'll also cycle charge with these, but you keep charging with the 2 and just keep the other 2 stood still. There we go. Then we have to micro this a little bit. But so you can see just how much damage they take on that charge. Well, they took a pretty meaty... They took more damage on that charge than they did entirety of, like, look at that! Look at the charge! Okay, yes, it seems like counter-charging is still the way to go.
I mean, we're talking about very, like, high mass.
Yeah, these
bonus units. So
Blackhawks are like the ideal charging infantry. But it seems with like units like this, they're like Bestigors, Blackhawks, those sort of big, brutish, expensive charge bonusy infantry, you probably still just counter charge.
yeah, look at the charging ones. So basically, the Sentinels are dead.
Yeah, although you do take less damage, it seems bracing. Like that far left one has taken nearly none. On my far left, even.
Yeah, but they have also been fighting less because, like the ones on my left, on your right have been engaging faster, and since they're counter charging, they're just fighting more.
Yeah, actually, it still seems that.
Yeah, but look at like if you don't brace, like how much damage you take.
How much better you're doing, especially as soon as you
One
keep
is
them
basically
moving.
dead. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems for at least for Blackhawks that it is still counter charging.
I mean, we could test something with less charge.
Let's test it with like something that has charge defense against larger spearmen. Let's just test it with spearmen, whether or not you want to counter charge with spearmen or not. Because please tell me, CA, at least you fix that. Tell me I shouldn't be counter charging with my spearmen.
Okay. Wait. Who use? Because I.
I'll go. I'll change my cav as well. I'll go Knight of the Realm.
Okay. Silver and Guard, maybe.
This. Try the spearman. Just basic spearman. I've got 4.
It's gonna give my Lord Armor of the Stars. Assassin. Your Lord, but
Why not?
Lord can't have Princess Armor.
Lord isn't real. He can't hurt you.
Aim. So CA. After you gave an Air Force. Armor of the Stars. Princess.
Armor of the Stars. Hearing these French people remind me of Ted.
I mean,
Knights of the Realm.
okay, yeah, I guess since we're just seeing what does better, it doesn't matter because like you're heavily armored cavalry.
Yeah, although you do a pretty good. I mean, I've seen spearmen do well against like Griffites, so it's with their anti-large bonus.
I mean,
I don't think they were fighting back much, but and we're just moving through it, but so them put out some good damage. So
okay,
same
again,
as last
your
time.
right, my left.
Yeah.
Charging the other ones. They're gonna be stopping. Actually, that guard stopping. Never mind.
Alright, let's see. Because like, how much charge bonus does spearmen have? 4. Right. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
That's reasonable.
I don't think we need to test like.
Yeah, that's
pretty clear results.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, brace with things that don't have a high charge bonus. That was a bit of an awkward charge there. You can just see. Well, these aren't cycle charging as much there on these ones. But you can see just how much less damage they did on the charge.
I wish we would have tested this well with on the other patch.
Let me see how it done then.
Because the other patch, I'm pretty sure Spearman would have won.
The lady wins.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. It looks like they are still losing, but it is armoured cavalry with the bracing. But you can see, just from the test, that when it comes to low charge bonus, it's just better to brace than it is to counter charge. It really does scale depending on the charge bonus of your infantry.
Yeah, I think. Pretty decisive.
Okay, interesting.
Okay, saving place. Zerk. Lol. Okay, something else here.
What do you want to test?
Ah, no, that's probably in the normal. I want to see if I have to point of Ink Oracle still.
You keep cutting out. Are you downloading something? Or is it because you're watching the stream? Might want to close the stream. Maybe it's your PC dying.
I think it's more that I've been having some kind of internet problem.
It does sound like you've been having some internet problems.
No, it's. I mean, I also have sound problems because I think I've been rolling over the cable too much.
Ah, you've been eating the cables. Classic pig maneuver. Okay, what should
So
we...
if you guys want to donate for my next wireless headset.
Oh wow, yeah, wireless, fancy. Well, to test. Oh, what was it that I saw? I mean, the thing is because Chariots are still broken on this. So
Yeah. Also, the other bugs are probably going to be still.
Yeah,
so
probably, yeah.
Check if the Oracle is broken. I still like.
What used to be a thing that was really dumb? Should we see how Forsaken? Well, we've seen how Forsaken does on the Zerg's vid. What other infantry have high charge bonus? That most of the Beastman infantry does. That Gore Herder.
I mean, Blade Singers have kind of high charge.
How much do they have?
30.
30, yeah, it's pretty big.
Is that higher than Greens?
Seems kind of high.
It is. Yeah, it's one more.
Berserkers have 33.
Holy shit.
Try some Berserkers.
Okay, I'll take Berserkers. You take.
That takes some cavalry. What cavalry? Nerikar Horsemen. That'll be a good one to
Don't
test.
take too heavily armored. That's.
No, it's 50 armor on Nerikara. Four of each again. Let's see if Nerikar Horsemen are still really good. Just how good they are, at least. Tomb King. Right, let's put this out a bit more actually. Ready? You're going to be bracing with one side, yeah. Bracing with one
Again,
side, yeah.
seems.
I want to see how it will work with such a spread out infantry, whether or not bracing will help as much. You wouldn't think it should. You'd think it'd have less of an effect because of how spread out they are. Let's see. This counter charging. So these Marauders have 36 charge bonus at the moment. Their frenzy. Oh, yeah, look at that, cavalry took more damage on the charge than the infantry. And a lot more. As for the bracing, I think you take less damage, I think, on the charge, but it's not for the damage output. It does depend on the type of infantry. If it's a holding infantry, you brace. If it's not, you countercharge, which it makes sense.
I guess working isn't.
Yeah, I don't know if it makes sense
working
that
is
that the berserkers are beating horsemen. I don't know if that's as a design, but maybe.
I mean, if you look at the combat stats, berserkers are just way better.
Yeah.
Like, I have 20 more melee attack than you.
Yeah, 48 compared to 28. And not to mention the weapon strength is insanely big, like 57.
Yeah, 19 more on berserker. I mean, I guess basic HP.
Yeah, it's just base HP as well. The fact that infantry will always usually have more HP than cavalry will. Yeah, so that's a pretty settled argument on if you have an infantry versus cavalry situation. It depends on the charge bonus of the infantry. If it has a good charge bonus, you still countercharge. If it doesn't, you brace.
But sort of.
They vex me.
I do want to see. Does it how? Because I don't. Does the bracing? Does that bracing mechanic apply to monstrous infantry? Let's find out.
Okay, trolls.
Is there a unit with charge defense against large? Says monstrous infantry.
Not on Norse.
I don't think there is in the.
Maybe ogres attack.
What cavalry should I go? I'll go with Chaos Knights. Something with a really hard charge bonus, such as Chaos Knights. Go with what to go with? Maybe man eaters, great weapons. Go with man eaters, great weapons. 4 units of those. Versus 4 units of Chaos Knights with lances. Let's see if that applies. I feel like it won't. I feel like I'm gonna just watch 2 units of man eaters get destroyed and 2 do decently.
Oh, I feel like many just.
Yeah, but how much armor do they have?
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah. This is an 80 charge bonus unit.
Slanesh's perverse glory. Chaos comes. Chaos Knights. Nurgle's pestilent glory.
Let's see if that is applying to monstrous. You also got some more herd for some reason.
Because there's a unit with 4 mammoths in it.
why
What's
not?
gonna take it?
They're all different sized as well. Look at that.
Yeah,
It's
they're
like a little
slightly
family.
small. Really? I
Family
don't think
mammoth.
that's like. I don't think that's that much. That.
Siblings.
Also, where's your lord? That's gonna.
He's just gonna sit there.
Yeah, put him
moving
back.
away, so. Okay, let's see.
I wanted to hit him with mammoth herd.
Okay. As expected, I feel like on those sides, pretty similar exchanges in terms of damage. Although the man-eaters are taking a lot more, and some the man-eaters are taking a lot more. Let's see. So they'll actually survive if to be believed. Was that? That felt like less damage.
Yeah.
No, maybe not actually. As it's going on, it doesn't look like it as much.
I think maybe on the immediate charge less, but.
Yeah, you notice they get their extra charge bonus on those few first hits, and then it really scales down how much damage they're actually doing.
Wait, this.
Interesting.
There's a mistake on the unit card of the mammoth, by the way.
Why
It
was it
says
so?
anti-large, but they have an anti bonus.
Anti-large. Oh no.
I mean, it's still 4 giant.
I guess it
mammoths.
is. It's anti-everything, isn't it? At the end of the day. Let's see how well these Chaos Knights do. Go on, Chaos Knights. Yeah.
I don't like.
I wasn't
I
expecting
don't like
much.
their chances. Actually, the mammoths only have like 10k HP, so they have less than a normal mammoth, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely way less. Like, a normal mammoth has like 10k HP.
Yeah, like, come on, give me.
It's
Come on,
literally
Pierre,
a
give
small
me
family.
40k HP.
Come on. At large unit size. Interesting, these manis over here actually won. So counter charging is definitely still the way to go with monstrous infantry.
No many just won. All lost.
Didn't- Oh, maybe it's because your more hurt stepped in.
I charged them with war back after they basically broke.
Although it was way closer, like the ones on your right side are just dead
Yeah,
completely.
it was definitely better. Like counter charging is better, but it doesn't quite work out. Come on, let's get the enrage going. 40 damage.
Do they have enrage?
Yes, they have enrage.
Oh, they have that. I thought they had the berserking enrage. I think.
I mean, it's a campaign exclusive unit. It's gonna be overpowered as shit.
Better be, otherwise it's not fun.
Like Nosgore is the most overpowered campaign unit.
Yes. Although I mean the
one of
Empire
them
ones are pretty
died.
good.
No,
Oh.
see before another one dies. I don't want to see them die.
No, come on. Oh no, they're raring. Interesting. One final little thing I want to test, although it's not really cavalry related, is whether or not this bracing mechanic works for just giant single entities as well. Like mammoths. So go on, you get to bring 4 mammoths. And I'll bring 4 chosen with great weapons. Because these guys have a good charge bonus. So it'll make sense that they should counter charge, but let's see maybe if the bracing works out better. 4 mammoths.
Feral mammoth.
Yeah, feral or whatever, I don't mind.
I mean, they're the one.
They basically cycle charge because they just go through and around. Let's see if they can go through if they're bracing. Maybe if they brace, you won't be able to go through them. I can just imagine like 20 chosen just trying to pin a mammoth down. It's like pig wrestling. Just scaled up. But like a scale factor of 20.
I mean, I think the mouse is like gonna lose.
You think? I'll go for a tight formation-ish. Like a tight-ish formation.
It shows they're really.
I mean, they're also not immune to psychology.
Yes, yeah.
Classic, because, you know, chosen. Not immune to psychology. Because why would they be? So the 2 on my right will charge.
Remember to keep your lord back.
Oh yeah, sorry. Sorry, sir. You don't realise just how slow chosen are until you watch them try and run towards a mammoth. With that nice 28 speed.
Who else? Like, you have to zoom really close and then get the feeling of the Pelennor fields.
It really is.
Return of
Except
the
when
King.
they're
Like,
on foot.
honestly, I'm behind your chosen and it basically looks like Return of the Kings, except that you don't have cavalry.
Yeah, they're on foot instead. Right, hold.
So, if you want to watch the movie again.
Hold. These 2 will charge. Let's see what kind of damage. So we're looking at the charging 2 first. Let's see how they do, because these Chaos have a charge bonus of 32. They basically went through. I mean, they could push through all the time.
Yeah, I'm pushing them through.
So let's see if these ones will go through with their bracing. Can you push through? It looks like the bracing doesn't do much when it comes to a mammoth.
No, I can put 2.
Yeah, it doesn't look like the bracing does an awful lot. And if we look at the damaging as well, we can just see that one's already rampaging. Although these 2 did engage later.
Yeah, but the other one is also not engaging. Yeah, I mean, maybe you're gonna rampage slightly earlier, but...
Yeah, I don't think the bracing helps much against the mammoth. I think it's really only for cavalry bracing.
I also don't think the damage is gonna matter that much. It's more like you get more contacts in.
Yeah, you get a couple more hits.
Yeah.
At best. And then you can rampage it quicker.
As soon as the rampage kicks, win first around it. Getting. But that neat little fact that if you're attacking back, you get half
it's like half of their defense.
Thirds from the sides.
Yeah, something like that. And when you've got a huge old mammoth like this.
See, totally chosen.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, no, you're right.
Just being
I
forced.
mean, this one over here isn't quite running. Kind of close.
Those. I mean, I'm gonna cycle charge Becky.
Yeah, as soon as it stops rampaging. I don't know actually. If you cycle charge a couple more times, you might win.
Many glories.
And why is the one routing with minus?
Oh, that one's dead.
That was a bit strange because it had from the morale bar, it said at like half morale, but it had -70. New graphic error found
Woohoo! New graphic error. Another one.
by the dust.
It's very close. I mean, this one that's rampaging right now might actually win at this rate. If you tear out them, because they are very close to tear outing, of course. Because
You
of
don't
how
have
low
many
the morale's
chosen.
going. There's literally 16 left and they're not tear outing.
Time to destroy.
Trying to cycle charge. Nope, you ran it.
Yeah, I was, but
Very close, but not quite. Anything else you want to test with this new patch? This new beta?
I mean, since all of the bugs are still in,
It's hard, yeah. I wanted to test like Chariots versus Should we test that actually? See how broken Chariots
Yeah.
do against? Yeah, okay.
okay,
You-
I'm going.
You go to
Blackhawks.
take Chariot. Yeah, okay, no. I was going to do Chariots versus Cavalry, seeing as it's pretty much unchanged for infantry, isn't it? I thought actually did. How does the bracing work? I wonder.
I mean,
Yeah, let's
shouldn't
test
it also because they changed infantry, right?
Yeah, I think they
also-
changed infantry just bracing as a mechanic. Hopefully.
Yeah, but then it should also be working against Chariot
Yeah, we'll test that. Let's go and find out.
for Blackhawks.
Test scores, of course. 4 of them.
What are those favorite units?
Yes. Well, this should be yours as well. They're pigs. Pig Chariots.
Not favorite broken.
Most broken. Beastman. Oh yeah, these are vanguards, so I can start this really quick.
Again,
Oh, we moved some. Oh yeah, just do it. Yeah.
where the hell are you going?
I don't know. I pressed the button back, then I think. But I want to try and get them to engage at the same time. So, just see if we can get them to do that. Just keep chasing mine for now, as I get mine into position.
Yeah, I think you charge
Okay.
everything.
Yeah, charging everything. Okay, here we go. Counter charge versus bracing. So with the charge, they took some damage and went through. With the bracing, they didn't take any damage and still went through.
Yeah, but without, like, with bracing, you take damage, or at least for one unit, and the other ones you don't.
Yeah, it still seems like you want a counter charge. Doesn't look like bracing does much. It's not like you're going to be able to catch them more if you brace or anything. Although I thought that's how they did it, but maybe it only works against cavalry.
Actually, it doesn't seem like that was Chariots a thing to the cavalry armor.
Though they are armor piercing.
Ah,
I think they weren't armor piercing.
over armor piercing.
They're both.
No.
Just because those ones I think are a bit too stationary amongst them. Yeah, it is a lot easier for Chariot to deal with a stationary unit than it is when it's constantly chasing them, it seems like. When it comes to stationary, they can just keep going through and then just do loops around them. Yeah, so it seems like counter charging is the way to go there. Don't need so much there.
Guess it will even work better if I have cavalry.
Yeah, that's what last thing I want to try. Last thing of the day is cavalry versus chariots. So go ahead and bring silver helms. 4 units of silver helms.
Actually, do still chariots are still broken here.
I
So,
think
if
they were. They
two
said
of them still defeat Kolak.
they said the bugs are still in the beta, including the Tuskors were not changed. So all the patch notes are not into effect on the beta. Although these are Tuskor chariots, not the Lord versions, which are typically like the War version, which is typically used. Because I think that's the one that might be broken.
Yeah.
Right, ready. A final test of the day. Let's go.
Alright.
Chariot versus cavalry. With the new cavalry, because it used to be they wouldn't win this. So let's hope they do. Obviously charge all of them. I don't know why we did before. There's no bracing for cavalry. Let's go ahead and see. Okay. I don't like how close it is. Okay, no, it's going... no, it's going in the Silverhelm's favour. Yeah, Silverhelms are winning that, as they should do. It was a bit close to begin with. But it does look like cavalry are doing just fine against them.
So just charge. Start.
Yeah, looks good. Hopefully that has told you what cavalry are like in the beta. Although they might change it because it is in beta, so there's probably still changes they're going to make to how it works before they implement it, or they're just going to implement it like this and not check for any bugs or anything. Who knows? It's CA. Everything they do is unpredictable. Alright then, well I will end that there for today. Thank you for your help, Lycus. And see you all again next week for another mentor session. Hopefully we'll have a bit more solid evidence on what is going to be happening with Warhammer 3 by then. We'll have to wait and see. Goodbye!
See ya.